Hi, and welcome to the We Need Roads podcast. And your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to join me and my co-host Jose as we delve into all the spoilery action of Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. One last time. How's it going, Jose?
I'm still alive, so I can't complain.
Okay, that sounds very positive going into a film where lots of people are threatened with death all the time. So, Jose, your brief, non-spoilery thoughts on the film.
I'd say just a broad response was there's a few good that are really good and a few bad things that aren't that bad, but it kind of just brought the movie down a little. So it's a good Mission Impossible movie, but it's not one of the best.
Yeah, for me, it's a good but not a great Mission Impossible film. I'm only going to get into all of that as we look at the good, the bad, and the what the fuck of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. So first up, the good. And for me, the thing I like the most about the movie is the return of William Dunlow, which was so well done. Because I'm sure that we all remember that in the original Mission Impossible, he was slightly unwell / drugged, left his position, which gave Hunt and his team time to escape with the film's MacGuffin, the NOC list, and upon returning, he found a knife in his desk and was like, where did this come from? Because that happened on his watch, Dunlow was then exiled to a polar substation in Alaska for the next 20 years. Until, of course, this film remembered that was a thing, and here we are again with him, 8 films later, 25 years later down the line.
Full circle.
Yeah, I did have to research all that because I had no way in hell I'd remember any of that. I like how that once the writers decided to go with the submarine being in the Arctic, that then gave them a reason to bring back Dunlow, and also that he actually has been really competent and content over the last 20 years since meeting his Inuit wife out there. And I like the way they tied in the old footage really well. And yes, they have to remind us a lot there because, come on, 25 years between film appearances. I just liked how they did it with his story really well. Although Cobra Kai did use putting in the old film footage better than this did. And also, I'm happy they didn't bring him back just to kill him and his wife. So, yay, Dunlow.
I have to say, I was wondering if that was going to be the case. They did a really good job of, with the limited time that he had on screen, of establishing a nice relationship with his wife, who was also had her funny bits. But to kind of play into that kind of goes into my good, is the cameos. And I'm going to say cameos because a lot of these actors only were in maybe 1 to 2 scenes total. Tremel Tillman, who had one of my favorite lines.
Sir!
If you want to poke the bear, you've come to the right man. I freaking love that. Hannah Waddingham did a great job with an American accent, which I thought was really interesting, but it played her part well. Nick Offerman, really great moment for him as well. And honestly, Charles Parnell, I know he's been in the movie before, but I'm a big fan of his.
When I saw Charles Parnell's name, I got mixed up and thought Chris Parnell, which is the guy from SNL, and the voice from Rick and Morty. I was like, oh, where is he? And I kept seeing his name. I was like, nope, got the completely wrong actor here, haven't I?
Yes.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. That's one of my goods as well. Is that the cast they've assembled, even though they don't have a lot of screen time in their minor roles. Because I remember being really excited when I saw all the casting news. It's like Hannah Waddingham, Nick Offerman, Milchek's going to be in it. Johnny McTeer from Ozark, and you've got Holt McCallany from Mindhunters as well. Like you say, General Ron Swanson this time. So he's been downgraded from last year when he was in Civil War and he was president. He's now just a general.
Yes. Nice.
And to be fair, the same thing happened to him in both films. But yeah, look, the casting is great. But the problem is, like you said, Jose, 100%, they are little more than extended cameos. Fair play, the casting director on this film deserves their money and a bonus because every actor knows exactly what they need to do with the brief screen time they're given. I think with Hannah Waddingham, it's the first time probably most people have seen her do an American accent. So it's like, oh, great, we can put her in American films now. She doesn't have to be the token English character. Also, shout out, they had Love Lies Bleeding, Katie O'Brien in it as well. And if you haven't seen that, she's also in The Mandalorian. So she's like the really tough diver girl.
Yes. I actually thought, just by like not even connecting to the movie at all, when she said took care of my swimsuit, I literally wanted to laugh so hard because she's the one female in the group. And then Tom Cruise is the shortest person ever. And so, like, the fact that he got to use her outfit I was mentally making just jokes in my head. But yes, Katie M. O'Brien did a wonderful job.
And also, it wasn't me who came up with this, but someone online put it, goes, how horny did everyone look on the submarine? Like, just the performances, they were just like really super intense and like staring.
Yeah, there was a lot of like, I don't know, what's it called?
Mule check energy.
A lot of that, a lot of hero posing, like a lot of glistening, like Ethan Hunt on the treadmill, just kind of showing off his running. I just thought, yeah, you're right. Now that you mention it,
Yeah,
I'm like, this is a very horny group of people. They're just looking at each other a certain type of way. And I know I disagreed with the Thunderbolts with the looks, but now I'm gonna have to give you some credit on this one. They're like,
yeah. I
outside.
have to shout. I have to shout out Tremel Tillman as Captain Bledsoe. I mean, the guy's just got such an insane level of charisma in every line delivery, hasn't he?
Mhm.
And
Oh
like,
yeah,
how cool is it that we've seen him go from Severance, where he wasn't, he's quite vaguely, moderately known Broadway star and theatre actor, to then being in one of the biggest TV shows of the last couple of years, and just jumped straight into one of the biggest action movie franchises of all time. And not just at home on the big screen, he's actually betters Tom Cruise's charisma in the scenes they have together. You're like, this is the charismatic guy here. It's
yes,
Tremel Tillman. He's like just acting Cruise off screen here. Honestly, give Tremel Tillman the Pedro Pascal treatment and put him in everything going forward.
yes, I agree. I think Tremel Tillman is going to be subtly the next big star for a little while.
Kind of connected to this, I watched Entertainment Weekly had like one of their Emmy contenders videos up, and it was Amy Lee Wood from White Lotus. It was Tremel Tillman from Severance, Anthony Starr Homelander from The Boys,
Oh,
a girl from Marissa Abella from Industry, which I don't watch, and Bradley Whitford from The Handmaid's Tale, which I also don't watch. And they were just sitting around talking about their roles and their performances over the season. Amy Lee Wood absolutely steals it. She's hilarious in it. But one of the questions the interviewer asked them, what show from the other people here would you like to be on? And Tremel Tillman goes, well, I think I make a pretty good hotel manager. And like Amy Lee Wood just like, White Lotus, yes, why not? It has,
that
yeah,
would
you have
be
to be like
great.
in the White Lotus.
Dude, him being able to have that pleasantly voice, but with also a little maybe a darker side.
The guy does Quiet
Perfect.
Menace better than anyone.
Ah,
Big,
that's
bright,
so good.
smiling, and you're like, he's going to kill someone. That's the vibe he gives all the time, man.
Yes, great, great idea.
Oh, one other person we have to mention here is Plum Kementoff as Paris. She has that great action opening scene when she's rescued by Ethan and his team, but that's all we really have from her, and I'm afraid we have to talk about her later in the bad.
I'd say just in general, the action set pieces. I know there weren't that many, and we've talked about this off camera, but I did enjoy the submarine situation. I thought it was well done, especially with the area where he had to get through the missiles. The submarine kind of doing a rolling set piece, and then
Falling
some of
down
the
a
action,
cliff, yeah.
yeah, and the action fight scene in the cabin, and honestly, the one in the trailers is the airplane fight. I
Mm.
think all of that was really fun, and yes, there wasn't a lot more to that at all, but that's something we can talk about in the bad. But for what it was, I really enjoyed it. It made the movie fun, and so that's where it kind of like I said, there's a lot of not a lot of good, but it was really good, and so I think I enjoyed it because of that.
And here's the thing, mate. We're only 10 minutes into the episode, and we're moving on to the bad already. And they're not I would say out of all the things that I noted down that annoyed me about this film, the single biggest issue for me is that most of the Mission Impossible films, they are fun. They have great team banter. There's comedy in it. They have a great hissable villain. I mean, Sean, I forget the guy's name. He was a baddie over two films, over Ghost Protocol and Fallout. Remember?
Yes,
And then
yeah,
he was superb. You've had Philip Seymour Hoffman. You've had so many great actors and really memorable bad guys. And this film, it's just serious and somber. Like there's no really there's a tiny little bit of banter in the team in certain points,
yeah.
but it's not up to the level. I mean, we were talking about this, like you say, off camera, and when you look at part one, Dead Reckoning, it didn't get that good of reviews at the time, and people were kind of down on it a little bit. By comparison, now that is so much far and away a funner film because the
Mhm.
set pieces are fun. So something else I want to talk about here, like S.A. Morales Gabriel, he had this flashback tied to the original incident where Hunt was arrested and he kills someone close to Hunt, and that's when Hunt is given the choice to join the IMF. A scene that, if I remember rightly, we didn't know about his origins until the previous film. So they've set all that up in the previous film. There's this real personal connection between, he killed someone, I'm guessing his girlfriend at the time or fellow
Yeah.
agent. He's out for revenge. We're going to find out. We're going to get backstory in that. No, we get absolutely nothing. That would be such a fertile plot thread to work with in this film. Have Ethan wrestle with the idea of revenge versus doing a good job. Create some conflict within his team, where the guy's like, look, are you sure you're not just going to kill him? No, of course not. I'm Ethan Hunt. I don't do that. And you're like, he definitely is. And then you could have Gabriel pulling Ethan's strings throughout it, which would be really good. A kind of cat and mouse thing.
Yeah.
None of that matters because that plot thread is completely dropped here. Gabriel has maybe 2 scenes of note in the whole movie.
Yeah. And it turns out that he kind of has to work with Gabriel to, or at least convince him that he is working with Gabriel. And that's just, it kind of exactly what you said. They dropped so many plot lines, like the entity that was completely non-existent. Like, you think that the entity would not try to at least do a few things to stop him from going into the sub?
It did so much more in the first film. The entity was changing people's faces, it was changing footage. People couldn't trust anything on electric communications in the first film. Here, again, all of that is forgotten about.
It's just a lot of stuff didn't even make sense after halfway through the film. Like, oh, we're gonna like. I just don't even know how to explain it because I don't even know
The
what they were
plot, I
doing.
can explain it for you, Jose. The plot, and this is a British word, is pure gubbins.
Gubbins.
Gubbins. Pure gubbins.
So one of the small bad things that I didn't like was I just noticed there was so much whispering. I wanted to call this like Whispergate because there are scenes that they were having conversations and they just kept getting quieter and quieter and quieter. And I'm like, you're in a room full of people. We need to hear what you're saying. And just like, it kind of ties into your somber feeling for the entire movie. And like, I get it. We having this kind of vibe that we want to push for the movie. But at one point I'm like, I watch subtitles. I need to hear what people are saying if I don't have subtitles in the theater. So I was just like, it was to the point where it's almost practically not really coherent for me. But I mean, I understand when you have to whisper for effect, but I just didn't agree with a lot of the whispering in this movie. It just even in like
hashtag Whispergate.
hashtag Whispergate. I mean, just like even farther in the movie when Ethan was saved and they were in the hyperbolic chamber, they were whispering and it almost made it seem like they were trying to be romantic. But I'm like, this just doesn't make sense to me. So that was one of the things that I didn't like. That was one of the bad.
Let's talk the entity, right? This big self-aware AI that all made us think Mission Impossible from the last film was going to go down like a Terminator route. Like AI is going to wipe everyone out. It's going to like manipulate everyone to do what it wants. People's faces were changed on footage. You couldn't trust a voice on the phone. All of that stuff. That's all really clever stuff. None of that existed in this film. They were just communicating normally on the phone and regular laptops and all that kind of stuff. They didn't have to worry about the AI doing anything of that. It was more the AI was cleverer and doing more to stop them in the first film when it was more of a central character. They clearly decided that the audience didn't like that in the first film, and they've definitely walked most of that plot line back here. And the way they do it, Ethan basically goes into a VR machine at the start of the film. It shows him what the AI's plan is, and it's basically war games. Great. He's going to set up some nukes. Boom. That's it. So I guess any thread of the AI battling Hunt and actively trying to stop him and impersonating the team was just gone. And that means the film lacks an actual villain. Because although all the AI wants to do now is just set up some nukes. Like, that's been done in how many films over the last 70 years, man? And of course, having S.I. Morales not giving him anything to do, he's just laughing in a plane scene at the end. He doesn't really do anything in that except get his shit smashed off on the thing, which was cool. But still, you're like, he didn't get anything to do.
I'm just wondering if that was supposed to be intentionally funny, the way his head hit, like he hit his crotch and then hit his head. And I'm like, whoa, that was hilarious.
Yeah, of course, man.
So, yeah, I didn't realize it, but until you just said it, like there was no real villain. Like, yes, they're supposed to try to stop the nuclear devastation, but who is really slowing them down? It's just that they have to. Oh, like when they're in the submarine,
we need to get from A to B with A to B. There was more of that and again, there was more of stuff to do with the key and getting the parts in the last film than this. It's just, yeah.
I mean, the slight aggressors of the Russians being in the cabin. I mean, that was really interesting. But then they're just kind of like, "Would you trust us? Would you trust? Would you trust?"
That was played well.
That was played well, but like that was it. There was like no real aggressors. And again, I'm like, you're right. It just underplayed everything. Like, okay, so now it's a MacGuffin town again.
Yeah. I mean, also, I wasn't a fan of the first hour and a bit previously on the last 20 years of Mission Impossible because it was so exposition heavy for me. There was no need to go back and try to tie so much in from the earlier films. Look, if you want to make some retcons from the last film, just do it. take the film in a new direction. It's going to be over 3 hours. You've got enough time to play from it. And like we've mentioned before, the way they make these films is right. What's the end set piece going to be? Right, cool. What's the middle film set piece going to be? Right. Let's think. Get the writers. Let's tie it together. And that's how they make these films. They just do it that way. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so I mean, you've got a note here. You mentioned Jose. Too many flashbacks.
I get that we want to throw back, and I mean, we're alluding to this being the last Mission Impossible again. And I understand that, okay, maybe in the beginning, there's some flashbacks to kind of play off of. And I think a lot of movies do that well. Like, okay, we'll show some scenes in a really cool intro. But then it kept doing that throughout the movie. And I understand, like, maybe with some characters, it kind of helps to do a flashback. But then you do a flashback for every, like, comment or every scenario. And I want to say, like, the Spider-Man movies, like the last No Way Home, it kind of was in the same boat where it was a lot of cameos, a lot of throwbacks, but what they did differently is they didn't throw too many flashbacks. And they just allowed the super fans to kind of connect the dots. And I have friends who I watched this movie with, and they're like, "Oh, it helped me enjoy this movie a lot more because I didn't know who the guy in the cabin was." And I'm like, I mean, then if it really needed that much help, then was it really good?
Worth doing, yeah.
Yeah, was it really worth doing?
They didn't have any of this in the previous film, and ironically, in Dead Reckoning Part One, what did they do? They gave you a flashback to a scene before the first film when we see Ethan
Yeah,
in that incident where gets the choice to join the IMF. But again, completely dropped for this film.
yeah, and I feel like that one was justified because it was okay. It was one pretty good scene. Maybe there was a moment where they refreshed it again, but that was it. But with the cabin, they not only alluded to it in the flashback before the cabin, but also after the cabin. And so, like, oh, just in case you forgot who this guy was, let's show him off. And then they give him a knife to give to Ethan, and I'm like, guys, come on, like,
But
we need,
that's a knife that dropped from the ceiling in the original, Jose, from 25 years ago. Don't you remember?
yeah, right.
No, no
Oh,
one.
and I'm like you said, if I feel like there's some cameos that are good to push back for the people who are big fans, but this was just a little heavy handed in my opinion. And my friends who watched the movie, they disagree with me. They enjoyed it, but I think it just depends on your perspective. And
I
so,
think Dunlow was done well. I think Dunlow was the best of all of them. And like
mhm,
we've mentioned in the good, you have all these new characters brought in, and they do really well with fantastic actors doing very small roles. But the problem with that is it then means the core team don't have anything really to do in this. Before I get onto that, I want to talk one of the big set pieces that again I wasn't really a fan of. Technically proficient, visually amazing. It's the big underwater scene, but that has already been kind of undercut for us because come on, we know he's not going to die halfway through. We know he's not going to die halfway through in the middle of the film. But also, the trailer shows Grace swimming down to save him in the trailer. Yeah, so they did this better in the Abyss like 30 years ago, man. There's so much
yes,
more danger and threat when like you've got Ed Harris trying to bring back Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. But here, there was no just a hint of this at all. And also, not to forget, even in the Mission Impossible series, doesn't Ilsa save Ethan from drowning only 2 films ago? I'm sure in the first film she comes into, she saves him from drowning. So you're recreating a set piece. I will give it his credit in that where it starts falling and he's kind of got to maneuver his way through it as the sub's falling to pieces and potentially going to fall even further down into the depths of the unknown. That was cool. But I just like it wasn't original. And also it has Ethan by himself just fighting, trying to get out of the sub. So he's not interacting with anyone else and they are intercutting this with the cabin scene, which again was more entertaining. There was more going on there. You know, you got this tense standoff between the Russians and Ethan's team. You've got Dunlow there doing stuff. I was like, this is good. I want more of this. And actually, that scene is kind of cutting back to the scene where there's no jeopardy for any of the characters because we know Ethan's going to survive that. There,
mhm.
you know, it's just yeah, it brought me out of it. I was like, oh great, we're back on the sub. Loud noises, stuff flipping around, cool.
Loud noises.
Loud noises.
That's funny.
Also, one little thing: there was absolutely no reason for Agent Theo to join up with Ethan's team when he was working with the CIA in the last film. Like, there was none. Like, what was the point? There's not even any explanation given. I think it's literally a look, isn't it, at the scene when they bust out Paris at the start, and he just goes with them. There might be a line I didn't remember it.
No, I mean there was that one funny line where it's like we're friends, but I agree. I mean, I think ultimately they wanted to have more hands to involve with the fight scenes. but
Yeah.
practically it didn't make sense for him to come. Yeah, it was just a little underwhelming.
But Briggs and Theo in the last film, they were great characters. They were
Yes,
like, you were like, okay, well, the CIA, they're after them, but also they seem like kind of good guys, and
yes,
so it was interesting. And here they were like out to stop them. Well, Briggs was out to stop him. Also, we talked briefly earlier. Paris, Pom Klementieff, she has no storyline in this film. They saved her in the last film. Then she
yeah,
gets arrested and goes to jail. They break her out of jail in this one, and then she has her one scene where she's like, "Yep, I want to go after Gabriel and I want to kill him." And we're like, "Cool, that's going to be good. She's going to be the guy to kill Gabriel." Then Tom
yeah,
will be off. Ethan, sorry, will be off. Same difference now. They're the same person. Tom
yeah.
Ethan will be off saving the world from AI, and she'll get to take out her main guy who betrayed her. Except that doesn't happen.
No,
She has no character development at all. She has an awesome fight scene. She gets a few cool action bits in the cabin, and then
and then
she
she
has to
just
stop.
stabs Benji.
That was actually fun. That was probably the funnest bit of the film there.
Yeah,
But again, the problem there is the funness undercuts it because you're like, oh, he's not going to die here because you keep dropping out of consciousness and back
hmm,
again. But her face when he's telling her how to go into him was really good, so I did enjoy that. Have to talk Haley Atwell's Grace. She's completely underused here as well. Her and Cruz had really good chemistry, despite the fact that she replaced Ilsa. I'm sorry, but in the last film, that should not have been a decision. You've
I
spent
agree.
2 to 3 films with Ilsa, and then you've just met this girl who keeps stealing from you, and you have to choose one to die?
Yes, that's really disappointing.
Still not got
Really,
over that. Still not got over that. Justice for Ilsa. Justice for Ilsa.
just for
But
Elsa.
in here, she is literally here for 2 scenes. One is to rescue him from the Arctic, which again, Gubbins' plot armor here, where, wait, she has to go out on a sled, use a device to find out where he's going to be under the ice and swim down and bring him back. I'm sorry, but Jose, you and me have been to Alaska. Like, if you're in the water for how long there with no clothes on, you're dead in like a
Yeah,
couple of minutes.
the timing
This is
isn't
the
crazy.
Arctic. And then she's not even got like a full diving suit on when we see her swim down. I don't know, it was like supposed to be some kind of weird dream or vision they were
Did they
hinting at
really
me.
show her swimming down? They just showed her picking him up and then
Yeah,
putting
but
him in
she's just
the.
in regular clothes. Like she's got like a shirt and a tank top on. It's like, wait a
Yeah,
minute. Again,
they they really glossed over that really heavily, and that's another thing that I think took away from the impact. Like, maybe it could have been more, but it really they really they did gloss over that just so much. Like, and then all of a sudden they're just again face to face whispering, holding each other's faces, and I'm like, this makes no sense.
and again, the second reason she's still in the film is apparently she's got quick hands, and that's to pull the flash drive out at the end of the film to capture the entity onto a USB drive
I feel like that's something they had ready from the first one, like the previous film.
with the quick
That's like
hands.
the only excuse. Yeah, quick hands.
Or do you
Like
think it was
they
just? Do you think it was just like when they were writing this one, was like they had that moment with like, wait a minute, she can grab it because she's a thief and got quick hands, and they were like, yeah, high fiving, and we're like, oh
No.
no,
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them, but I think they had that set up from the previous film.
fair play.
Because, like, why else do you need someone else to have quick hands, like a pickpocket, other than Ethan Hunt himself?
Hmm.
Because he's supposed to be really good at that too.
Also, the one death in the final reckoning, the one person who died, bar General Ron Swanson. Well, he might have survived. I can't remember. They killed Luther.
Yeah,
Ving Rhames has been there since day one, hasn't he? Is it the first film?
he was.
Yeah,
He's the one guy who's been in every film other than Tom Cruise.
which is why they had to kill him in this one.
And to be honest, I felt like they were reluctant to have two computer geniuses because, like, if he was alive, he would have been able to help with Benji being hurt.
Hmm.
So, I think that they found themselves at that crossroads in the last film. So they're like, how do we get out of this? And so naturally, they
It was the
gave him the
same way,
idea.
wasn't it? Because in the last one, it's Benji trying to disarm a nuclear bomb in the airport, and then it's
Yeah, yeah.
him getting killed by a bomb in this one.
There's
And they don't
there's
show
definitely a
that
lot of
scene
overlap.
either. They just cut between him. This is what annoyed me, the flashbacks, Jose. They kept flashing back to him in the bed and then out of the bed and then in the room.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't care when this took place now. You've actually lessened his death by fucking around with the time on it so much.
This is one of those small things that kind of just limited the film, and it could have been tweaked a little bit better. I feel like the scenes with Luther could have all been linear instead of going back and forth between him being sick and then Ethan Hunt remembering him. So that's something I think would have probably helped just a little bit.
And I have to relentlessly mock the ending of the film. in London, because this made me laugh so much, and I don't think this was intentional, but how I haven't seen a supercut of people ripping the piss out of this already. So, right, dear listeners, dear viewers, you must be familiar with the Star Wars and Star Trek memes where everyone just keeps nodding at each other.
Okay, so for those who aren't familiar, can you please describe it?
Right. So there's a scene from the original Star Trek series from the 60s, and there's just a cut where everyone is nodding at each other, and it cuts to another character, and they're all nodding. Obviously, cut out of context there for fun. I think probably the most recognizable recent version is when they were spoofing Star Wars in Family Guy in the Blue Harvest ones. Yeah, everyone's nodding. And you're just like, but it goes on so long. Every character literally walks past the other character and nods at them. Like, knowing, I was like, why aren't you just having a chat? This is so fucking stupid. You've stopped the thing. All your things have been cleared. You're all like good to go. You can actually do what you want. So why are you still being secretive? And also, if you're being that secretive, you wouldn't all be in a. It's so stupid to be putting yourselves at risk if you are still in danger, being in one place, and then you're all in one place anyway. It just, And also, the last thing on the bad, final reckoning. What was so final about it? No Wunbar Luther died. There wasn't even a hint of Ethan going, oh, I might hang it up now. I'm getting too old for this shit. There was none of that. There was just absolutely no. There was more hinted at in the early film, the one that had Jeremy Renner in it, where you're like, okay, they're setting Renner
Yes.
up to be his replacement.
Yes.
And then he decided to walk that one back because the film made a shitload of money. And I was like, oh, actually, I'll do another one. Then it made even more money. And that's how he brings us up to where we are now.
So Jeremy Renner did, I think, a really phenomenal job, and sadly, I don't think he could come back because of his accident with the tractor. That movie showed that there is potential for this series to go on, but probably with a new face.
They had that face. It was Ilsa.
Oh, here's something that I didn't even realize: the face reveals. They have them, I'm pretty sure, in most, if not all, the movies.
The mask,
and
yeah.
in this one, the mask was just a simple throwaway of them being the guards. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I feel like the impact is just, you don't feel it. You're like, oh, it was really them.
Well, if they've been smarter on a script, and they could have said, oh, it's a basic mask because we don't want to risk the entity interfering with it.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that, and so it didn't. Yeah.
I think one of the bad things in general, for this movie that I wanted to say that I haven't yet, is this is almost not a Mission Impossible movie. This is just an action movie with Tom Cruise. Because it's like, and Mission Impossible movies in the past, almost all of them also have him being like a rogue agent with a small team with limited supplies. And this one, he literally gets an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, he's working for the president directly.
And to be honest, it's not a bad situation. Like, this was fun to watch, and like for him to go through all these processes, going through all these characters, but it didn't feel like Mission Impossible. It just felt like a lot of cool stuff happening.
Yeah, it didn't have the same iconography, and I think, and like sort of, it's like when you watch a Bond film, it has to tick certain boxes to be a Bond film. Mission Impossible 1, you have to have the exploding message at the start of the film. You have to have your big action set pieces. You have to have Tom Cruise hanging off something or running all the time in that.
Actually, I don't even remember how this movie started. Like, you just reminded me of a tape burning up, and I'm like, oh, I remember the VHS tape. I don't remember what he was doing. I think he was watching it in a room, and then he walks out and then joins Benji. I just now I'm trying to remember that.
I just got lost in the flashback-a-thon. So
yeah.
All right. So I mean, we don't want to kick it too much. We don't want to kick this film down too much. And this brings us on to the what the fuck section. And as we mentioned when we first started doing the what the fuck section, sometimes it can be positive, sometimes it can be negative. As we've been going through the bad and it's been quite negative, I'm going to start with a positive what the fuck. And it is the insane sequence where Tom Cruise, in his 60s, has just decided to wing walk and strap himself to a biplane hundreds of thousands of feet above Africa. I mean, fair play, man. I read that he passed out a couple of times when he was doing this because of lack of oxygen and like carbon dioxide and all this kind of stuff, and the way it just absolutely messed him up doing it. So they must have had him strapped in for those bits where he couldn't fall off, because there couldn't be a bit where he's absolutely.
Neil, I'm pretty sure he's never not strapped in. That would be ridiculous. I mean, they have CGI where they take out strings.
But I mean, that's how they sell it, man. That's how they sell the films on these things now, like doing the stunts.
I mean, when I watched the movie, it really did look like he wasn't locked in at all. So
wait, you're saying he didn't do the stunts, Jose? I am shocked.
Without a safety net, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's definitely some CGI wires that have been taken out there. Having said that, as much as I liked it and as fun as it was, logistically and geography of editing in it didn't make any sense. What was he trying to achieve when he's chasing Gabriel? Okay, he's trying to get the other part of the key off him,
Yeah, yeah,
but what would have happened if he'd crashed into Gabriel's plane and Gabriel's plane had just blown up with the key in it, and like
yeah.
vice versa? Like, what? Why isn't that these planes have no weapons on them? So why would you try and fight each other in it? You're just going to damage each other's planes and just fall. And also, when he was falling, they make such a big deal out of it. It doesn't look like he's got a parachute, and then he does have a parachute last minute. So you're like, oh
The backup
yeah,
parachute. I
but
mean, I knew that.
yeah, but they took so long to show it, and they get to make
Yeah.
you think, oh, he doesn't have one. But then I don't know. It just and also I have to again, even though this is my what the fuck because it is a stunning sequence. It's so similar to the ending of Fallout, where you had the helicopter chase through the mountains of New
Yes.
Zealand. Because again, those helicopters, I don't think they had weapons on them. They weren't shooting at each other. They were just trying to. Again, what is the point there? What you're going to bash into
No,
the other? Did they have weapons on
no.
them?
In Fallout, they did. That was a big thing. That was
Okay,
really
I can't
cool.
remember, but
See, that's the advantage Fallout had. That a really, really better version of the sequence.
and it was shot over I think it was shot over the fjords in New Zealand, in Fjordland, and it
Oh
looked
yeah,
amazing. Here, it's just a biplane scene. I say just a biplane scene. It's a biplane
just
scene
about.
retracing the same action beats over South Africa. So,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it is awesome, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, do you know what? It's too similar. I don't think it beat the motorbike onto the train sequence and then the train going over the bridge sequence from Dead Reckoning.
yes,
I think
that was
that
a lot of
is
fun.
I think that is the best action sequence of the whole series. Right, Jose, what is your what the fuck moment? And this apparently annoyed you.
This is one of the what the fucks I didn't expect, and it was the reveal that Briggs was Phelps's son, and so he was junior. And I'm like, why?
Question,
That
Jose.
is so
Who
annoying.
is Phelps?
Phelps is the original character from the TV show who in the first movie was a traitor and he died in that first movie. And so apparently he's the father of the Briggs who is actually Phelps Jr. And so that is supposed to cause some conflict, which I thought was again another stupid situation. It's like, "Oh, my father was involved in this and you made him out to be a villain and but it doesn't matter cuz I'm going to forgive you for reasons." And I'm like, that was unnecessary. Completely unnecessary.
I mean, first of all, you have to remember who original Phelps is from a film 25 years ago. And a couple of flashbacks from it literally wasn't enough. I read online quite a few people were like, this is fucking bullshit. This is fucking stupid. And clearly you're annoyed by it as well. For me, it barely registered. I was just like, huh, who? I'm Team Dunlow. I didn't care about like Phelps, man.
Yeah, I think it was just an unnecessary plot point. Like I know what they were trying to do and I get that there's some lore there that but this movie already had a lot
It
of
had
lore.
loads. It didn't need it. It didn't need
It did
more
it did
law.
not.
No more law.
Yeah. It could have just made it that Shea Wiggum as Briggs just wanted to bring Hunt in. Like that was enough. And for him, like if you would have taken that portion out with the last name and he's like, I just want to do my job, I think that would have hit a little bit harder, honestly. That would have just streamlined the whole process instead of just adding
Maybe
confusion.
and maybe have a scene where he's like to his former partner, hey, what the fuck are you doing with these guys?
Exactly. I
There's
think that
nothing there.
exchange would have been more interesting to see. Like, why did you run with them? What did you learn? And to be honest, I feel looking back, Greg Tarzan is Davis. The only reason now that they added him is to help defuse the bomb. When he stayed behind, like, hey, I'll stay with the two other people, and I'm like, why? Like I know it doesn't mean anything for you to go to the bunker, but then why are you staying to die? Like, there's
And
no
that was
reason. What?
stupid because they made you think that they were going to die if they didn't get to the bunker, but then there was still time for the old couple to run to the bunker. So again, yeah,
Yeah,
I just
and they didn't even show them running. Like
no.
I would have loved to even have seen them start running, even if they didn't show them making it past the door. Because was there a door? And why would it be that door strong enough to hold off a
No,
bomb?
they just come into
Like,
the shot like, oh hey, we're here, we made it. Oh great, yay.
yeah, we're a little dusty, which means we went through some shit. But
We're not going to show
it
you
was
that because we're over budget.
we're not gonna. And to be honest, this movie had a really ironically big problem of showing and telling, but showing the wrong things and not telling the other ones. Yeah, you think that a big budget film with a lot of people involved, who have done better work would have been able to polish this up a little bit more.
Like the last
But I
film.
think I think it suffered from overcompensating for the errors of the last film, which I don't think it had.
No.
We talked about this earlier. The last film came out a week before Barbenheimer,
Yeah.
which, if you just look at that alone, that's why
It didn't do
probably
as
the film
well.
didn't do as well.
Yeah.
And it's like no film would have done as good with the amount of like hype that Barbenheimer had. Like both of those films made $1 billion, and of course it's going to affect like I think it would have affected even a Marvel movie, honestly, just because of how much hype there was between those two movies.
I think Marvel would have been smart enough not to release anything that weekend.
See, exactly.
Or the week
Yeah.
before, sorry. Let's bring this to a close. Jose, is it a recommendation, and what do you give it out of 5?
Honestly, it has to be a recommendation because it's still connected to the other Mission Impossibles, and I feel like it's good enough to watch again. Out of 5, I'd honestly say 3 out of 5, and that's me being slightly generous. I want to say 2.75, but that's a little harsh, I feel like. But it's a light 3.
Yeah, I've given it a 3 overall as well, and it is a recommendation for me purely because it still looks amazing. Like the cinematography and generally the editing on it is like superb in a lot of places in the way the action scenes are constructed. Like we said, you got a talented cast who do really well with the very little they're given to do, and it isn't as fun as recent installments in the series. And for all the reasons we've just gone through in the bad and the what the fuck as well, it just brings it down. I mean, this wouldn't be in the top 3 Mission Impossible films for me easily.
That is correct.
I'd
That is
probably be
correct.
down near 5 or 6 actually. For me, I think this would be down near the best of the not as great ones. This would be there for because it's perfectly serviceable, but it's a Mission Impossible film. It should blow your mind in the cinema, and it should blow your mind to the extent that when you're watching these amazing action scenes, you're not worrying about the plot not making sense. You're not picking up on all these little things. And if we are picking
Mhm.
up on all these little things, then it shows you the film's not done its job to keep us fully entertained and engaged the whole way through.
Yeah. I honestly would probably keep it in the bottom 4, maybe bottom 3
Yeah, I'd
easily.
agree with you on that, man. Well, like a first act exploding message to Ethan Hunt, that's all the time we have on this week's episode of the We Need a Rose podcast. So I'd like to thank my co-host Jose, and where can people find you on the socials?
I'm mostly on Instagram. My personal is at a Spanish Joe. I'm also a photographer, so if you want to see some of my photography, go to at Jose Lopez Photos. And my website for weddings is www.jlopezphotos.com.
And you can find me at Needy Roads on Twitter, Neil Gregory78 on Instagram and Threads, and NeilG78 on Blue Sky. And for more We Needed Road shenanigans, you can find us on Spotify and also hopefully here on YouTube where you've hopefully been watching us. And you can find our full library of episodes going back over 150 now, Jose. We've hit 150 at some point and we haven't realised because we changed the naming structure. So we're just completely lost now. We could have done 150, we could have done 200, no one knows. And if you like what you heard, hit that bell icon and subscribe, as also we upload lots of short form content now on Christ, I forgot. We're on TikTok now, Jose. There is a We Need a Road on TikTok.
Wow.
Which, at the minute, I'm running and I don't really understand, but I'm just uploading our short videos on there and lots of people are liking them, so that's good. And also on YouTube Shorts as well. So we're basically, if we see a film and we see something that we want to talk about and everyone else hasn't seen it, each of us individually, me, David, Marie, and Jose, we're all recording our own little short videos and then non-spoiler videos and then sticking them up on YouTube Shorts. So again, interact with us there, leave us comments, tell us how wrong we are or how right we are. It's all good fun. And don't forget to leave us a comment on this episode and let us know what you thought of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Let us know and we'll read out the best comments on a future episode. So make sure to join us next time on your favourite plutonium-powered pop culture podcast. See you then.
We Needed Road.